I can hardly wait to hear from Vidhya Subramanian with Zymmo. This is something that I think is such a great idea. So I'm just going to let you explain it. So welcome.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's been fantastic and very relatable. Nancy was talking about a major career switch, and I've done the same thing. I spent more than 20 years in financial services, working for large banks in tech and running large mandates. And then 2 years ago, I became an entrepreneur. So a lot of learnings for me, and especially in food tech. And what Zymmo is essentially it's a marketplace and a community that's going to connect foodies directly with chefs, right? So eating out industry is a $380 billion industry annually just in the US. We all spend so much money eating out, but majority of that is going to restaurants and other establishments. And that's what we want to disrupt. So if you're looking for a private chef today, how do you do it? Word of mouth, call your friends, Google.
Yeah, that's a good question. Call a caterer, I guess. I don't know.
Right. So that's what we want to change. We're a marketplace that wants to bring these chefs directly to the foodies. So whether it's an experience you're looking to create for you and your partner at home, a romantic dinner, or you're having a party. And we also want to create these experiences where people can actually attend a chef curated experience where you can actually sort of be part of an underground dinner or a tasting menu location to be revealed later on. There's also a perception that things like this are only affordable to the wealthy, and that's another mission of ours. So we want to empower chefs and we want to democratize amazing food so everybody can enjoy this.
I just think that sounds so great. Like I would love to, Richard and I have tried to do that in the past and we could never really find the right fit, right? Because we're going to have a dinner party of 6 people. I don't want to be cooking the whole time and he doesn't want to be. So we want a chef that will come into the house and cook for 6 people. And this sounds like a great idea. I can see Nancy is full of ideas.
Talking about past careers, I used to own a little bar and restaurant. And I am a foodie. My husband's not, but I have my foodie little gang. I've missed that so much during the pandemic. But so I want to leap out into the screen and I want to access your site. And I think it's an amazing idea.
We're an early company. We've just been around for about 15 months. And I'll put a plug in here that we are fundraising. And one of the questions I constantly get asked is, if you had started something in fintech, I would write you a check right now. Why did you go from, financial services all the way to food industry? So that's one question I get all the time. But we are fundraising. We're live in 2
and the
cities
answer to that
right
question
now.
is, and the answer to your question is why you went from fintech to the food industry?
Well, that's a great question that you're asking, Richard. Let me answer that. First of all, I'm a foodie myself, and I've always been a working parent, and I've always felt like I've never had time to cook. I live in New York and the commutes here are long typically. So by the time I get home, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. And what I found that's interesting, and I'm sure all of you could relate to this, this is something everybody cuts corners on. Even people with means, we cut corners when it comes to food because we're tired, we don't have enough choices, we're just bored with the chore every day. Well, I'll just grab a slice of pizza, or I'll just do this, right? We want to change that. I've always felt like, if I had more options for home cooked food or chefs making these original dishes, that would be a much better way to live. So that's the disruption I wanted to bring in. And I'm sure I can't be the only one thinking that, right? There's many of us that would love to have more options and healthier options to eat.
Yeah, there are meal delivery services we've tried that deliver healthy meals on a regular basis, but lots of times they're frozen. The menu choices aren't great, and they don't always use the best quality ingredients.
Well, and the sodium is so high in those things. So, but I think it's a great idea. So, what kinds of food? Like, do you get chefs that do a full range of different types of food?
Yeah, we're a very inclusive platform, right? And the idea that, Richard, the one thing that you're talking about, the personalization is the key, right? So Zymmo is not a meal delivery platform. We actually don't want to be bundled with like the Uber Eats and the Grubhubs of the world, right? We are a food experience platform. We want to make food an experience, even if it's a simple meal on a Wednesday, a lunch, or or a party of 6, as you said, right? Every meal should count. And we're in beta. We're live in 2 cities, Austin and DC. We're looking to grow. And we're a very inclusive platform. We have cuisines of all types. But the best thing about Zymmo that I think is the dishes are original. You may find a chef who's making tacos, but the secret sauce, you can't find it anywhere else. Like we have a food truck in Austin, which is really popular as an example. So we're very inclusive. It's not tied to a particular cuisine. It's more about the community that you create through food. You know, you get to connect with local foodies, you get to connect with local chefs. And how many times do you go to a restaurant and you ask, who actually made my food? We don't even meet the person behind the closed doors, right? So that's the new thing about Zymmo.
Yeah. So Kenya, do you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just trying to wrap my head around how it all works. So I go onto the platform, right? And then so kind of walk me through that, like what that experience is like.
Absolutely. So it's an app that you could download from the App Store, both for iOS and Android. And so it's first of all an open platform. You don't need to divulge anything about yourself. You could just go browse. So as soon as you land, you're going to see all the dishes near you, all the chefs near you. And you basically pick, okay, am I hungry now? Am I scheduling a meal for next Friday, whatever? Let me go and book it. Or I want to just book a chef, because I'm having a party this weekend for the holiday. So these are the different choices you have right now on the platform. And once you decide to do a transaction, that's when, you register your profile, you kind of put your name. And also there's a social media aspect to this, which we haven't built yet. That's the next round of funding we're waiting on. This is where you can actually talk about yourself. You could put hashtags, very Instagram-like, you can follow people, you could have favorites and things like that. Does that help? Kenya?
So Karen,
no, it does. It sounds great.
Questions or thoughts?
Thank you.
I do. And I want to make sure I understood this correctly. You started your business 15 months ago?
Yes.
So, and I'll ask the standard question, but I'm really curious. That's 3 months-ish before humans were no longer allowed to roam the earth. So how
can I use the P word, Kerry? Nancy's still on. I'll use a different word. We went through a whole rediscovery.
What?
Man, it was harrowing, right?
Changed the business.
And here's the funny part. It's not so funny, but we started doing the product development in March, April last year. And that's when COVID hit. Everything shut down. And it was an interesting time for the restaurant industry because people were trying to figure out, okay, no one's going to go out to eat. What does this mean? And we went back into our focus groups, right? We went back and talked to our chefs and foodies and like, should we continue? Should we pause? Should we pull the plug? What should we do? And the response was, you know what? We need this even more now because no one's going to go to the restaurants. And a lot of chefs were scared, about their employment. And that it became true. Tens of thousands of restaurants closed and many of them closed permanently over the last year. So Zymmo became even more relevant with
an opportunity for you there, especially.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like it's a win-win-win for everyone. And Nancy, do you have any questions or comments?
I want to experience it. I'm ready. Bring it to Philadelphia. What I do appreciate though, because I used to own a restaurant. I don't cook anymore. I would cook like once a year for my dad. All of a sudden with the pandemic, I had to start cooking, but I also started wasting. I would say, oh, this week I ordered all the food, had it delivered. I'm going to make all this stuff. And I didn't end up making it. And so I hate to admit it, but so I was wasting food. I think with your app and experience, I'm going to eliminate the waste, and I think it's going to balance out the cost.
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time, but I just love this idea. Can you please bring it to New Jersey?
Yeah.
Yes, working on it.
Yes.
That sounds great.
So you're listening to Passage to Profit, the Inventor Show with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart, our special guest, Nancy Volpe Berenger, and we will be right back after this message.